So today you have made your organization has made a big announcement for the Indian deep tech, including semiconductor. What were these announcements that you can elaborate on, and what are the deep tech verticals that you would be looking for in
Yeah.
investment terms?
Yeah, we actually announced that we are creating a deep tech alliance. It's called India Deeptech Alliance, and we're 8 firms coming together to work jointly to promote and support the creation of this ecosystem. These 8 firms are Celesta Capital, Premji Invest, Accel, and the Venture Catalyst. In addition, there are firms like Gaja Capital, Idea Spring, Tenacity, and Bloom. So these are the 8 firms, and we all have jointly committed, $1 billion to put into the Indian ecosystem and work collaboratively to ensure that the government can support these funds and other funds that have joined this platform as the alliance, and also help the startups. So that's what we're trying to do.
And which are the verticals that you would be looking
So
into?
it's broadly speaking, it is the strategic sunrise sectors that the government has announced, which is all the deep tech sectors of semiconductors and hardware and artificial intelligence and biology and advanced materials and space and defense technologies and robotics. So these are some of the areas, but it's largely foundational technologies where the Indian ecosystem can have tremendous opportunity to grow. And these are important sectors that the Indian government is focusing on, and the VCs and financial investors are wanting to invest in those areas as well.
India is also has opened two important sectors. One is biotech sector, bioenergy, biotechnology, and biosciences, and the cryogenic and the space sector. Do you think that could be some common ground in your investment portfolio?
Of course. Biotechnology and using advanced AI for biology and healthcare-related areas are very important. Likewise, space-related technologies are very important. There are a number of startups already in those areas. AgniCool is a company that's building 3D printed engines that go into a rocket to launch satellites in low Earth orbit. That's a great example. There's a company called 1cell, which is focused on cancer diagnostics using circulating tumor cells diagnosis. There's a company called 5C that is looking at using artificial intelligence for radiology for cancer detection. So these are some examples of companies that I think are perfect for the kind of sectors that the government is focusing on, and we as VCs love those sorts of opportunities.
There is also a talk about stem cells, both in human and in plants, and also because India is such a big population, there is always a need for vegetation and food grain that needs to be replenished. Do you think that those could be one of the other areas?
Of course, I think all of these areas are very interesting, but the core question that one has to ask is there differentiable technology that is there that can be developed and scaled, number one. Number two, is there a meaningful business model where these companies can actually grow into successful, large, global companies? So you have to have those two things. So technology, business model, and last but not least, execution and management. So there's no possibility of any of these companies becoming successful if you don't have good execution. So strategy alone is not enough. You have to have good execution to see the results of some of these companies.
And where do you see the Indian semiconductor industry from now hence?
Well, I think great ambition for the Indian government to focus on this area. And as you know, in the semiconductor industry, there's manufacturing or factories or fabs, as they're called, which is really, advanced manufacturing, making semiconductors. There is also design of semiconductors. So the Indian government is trying to focus on both, which is the right thing, but you have to opportunistically look at some low-hanging fruit. How can you actually improve on the design of semiconductors? Because if you did that, you have a way of filling the capacity that the factories will have. Because there's no point in having a massive factory that you cannot fill. You have to make sure you have enough design companies that you can put through your factory to produce those semiconductors. So
And you
have to do
talked
both.
about in your deliberation today, this morning, you talked about global effort that needs to get into. It is not only one country; it is a joint purpose, joint effort of all the countries. You talked about USA, you talked about Europe, and you talked about India and other countries.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, I think technology knows no borders, right? Today, if you use a washing machine or you use a car or if you use a cell phone, the components that go into any one of those devices, the software that goes into any one of those devices, the telecommunication equipment that actually powers those devices to be connected, the wireless networks that are there, many countries actually come together to make that viable and feasible for you to use them. So by definition, technology knows no bounds. So you have to expect and sort of actively pursue collaboration. If you did that, then you can have a vibrant ecosystem. You cannot have walls. This is not about building walls, and so that's what is required.
Any plan for the next 3 to 6 quarters that your investment plans are?
Of course, we have plans. I'm not ready to announce it, but yeah, we of course have plans, and you will hear about it.
Thank you very much for talking to Vision Television World.
Thank you very much.